last week, just a particularly Xbox relevant note. ID at Xbox, the indie program on Xbox that has succeeded the Xbox Live Arcade program, they published their 1,000th game last week.
Yeah, that's a lot
of video games. It officially actually hasn't even been 5 years, just under 5 years. So that's a whole lot of games.
I think it's cool that you have announced you're going to do a Let's Play series where you play through each and every one of those games.
Damon, what have
Starting
you done?
next week, the first 50. Keep an eye out for that.
If you did one a day, it would take
4 years?
like 3 years,
It would take 1,000 days.
just to get caught up.
Yeah.
That's a lot of video gaming. But guys, what are some of your favorites? Just give me one highlight ID at Xbox title over the years, Destin.
So I was looking through the list before the show, and there's some big titles on there, man, that have allowed really cool games to come to Xbox, like Rocket League. Rocket League is on the list. Hellblade and No Man's Sky actually came through ID at Xbox, which is really neat. So I'll say No Man's Sky because I think it actually does some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, the next update, which arrived with the Xbox version,
really improves upon where it was, adds multiplayer. So yeah, that's one of mine.
Excellent, yeah, and the endless video game, No Man's Sky. Damon, let me go your way. What stands out for you? You played a ton of Xbox Live Arcade in the day. You still play a lot of digital titles.
Yeah,
I know you like The Messenger from this year.
I love, The Messenger's a really fun game. A highlight for me is also, I think, a highlight for you, which is Inside, a game you reviewed. I think you gave a 10.
Sure, that was one of the easiest 10s I've ever given in my career. It really was.
That's a 10 I can get behind. I totally agree with that. That's like, I loved Limbo as well. Yeah. Just love the work that Playdead does. The game's such a cool, spooky vibe. But I love that it's like, it's set up like a traditional side-scrolling, platforming game.
Yeah.
Where you're constantly moving to the right and you're just encountering different scenes and different scenarios, always having to figure out what you have to do. But it reminds me of like Ghosts and Goblins back in the day, where at the start of every life you can see the whole map sort of laid out, and like this game Inside is laid out the same way.
What is your take? It's been long enough. Statute of limitations is up. What's your take on the ending? Because that was one of my favorite things coming out of that game. Especially, I was the first person to finish it here, and I was just dying to talk to anyone.
Yeah, I remember that.
There are no shortage of ways to interpret the ending of that video game.
No, once again, spoilers.
Fast forward
the
like
ending
2
is
minutes.
It's a pretty, the whole like last act of that game is pretty incredible. But I always interpret it as the kid all along was trying to break in to that facility. He wasn't on the run. He was being chased. He was trying to break in because he either felt obligated to set free the mass, or he was sort of being summoned there, like telepathically by the mass for some reason.
Right.
So, but he ends up being absorbed by the mass and using as a utility to break free. Go through that whole like insane sequence of breaking out of the laboratory. Finally comes to rest on the riverbed, and then sort of like is just lazing there in the sun. And like no matter what happens next, freedom is better than captivity. Right. So, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
My favorite part about that, and I believe I'm remembering this correctly, but there's a diorama somewhere in the facility that shows the river and the forest with a single beam of light on something there, indicating like it was all foreshadowed. It was all planned all along, which makes me think there's a bigger sublayer above that where like they're testing to see what it's capable of, how far it can get away, and this was their optimum.
I love. There still is no definitive. Like the developers, Playdead has never said this is what the ending.
They wanted to leave it a little bit,
which
open.
is great.
Yeah,
I like that.
And as a side note, they've made 2 great games with Limbo and Inside. What they're going to do next is apparently not going to be 2D. They've said they're sort of like thinking bigger now. So
in another
I don't know.
dimension.
That could be really cool, or maybe it's going to be they'll switch up the formula a little too much.
The artwork was the crash ship or something like that, right?
which the gaming community was kind of lovingly calling it Outside because it was that sort of same artistic vibe, but it, not indoors.
Yeah, but I also think 2 of the key leads from Limbo and Inside have left now. Isn't that right? So.
One of the 2 partners.
Just one of them? Okay.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if it's Dino is the one still there. If he's the one. And then Somerville is the other project, is the project from the other, like the Splinter team.
Yeah.
And I'm just now confusing which one's which, but can't argue with Inside. God, this game's still so good. Damon, you're not, wait, I went to talk to Damon already. I mean, just shave. You're pretty close, honestly.
Damon with a beard. What do you think?
Beard Damon.
Brandon is often my stunt double on Game Scoop.
Yeah,
It's true.
For the tough segments.
Yeah.
I take
I'm getting a
falls.
little old. I can't do all my own stunts anymore.
I take falls really well. So.
Brandon Tyrell.
Yeah, one of my favorite ID at Xbox games is actually one of my favorite games this year and probably of all time. It's a game I reviewed. It is Dead Cells. I gave it an amazing score because it is an action RPG game that acts like a platformer. But what I really, really love about it is just how smartly it's designed. It really pushes you to push the limits. It's a risk versus reward kind of vibe where normally in a game where one hit will kill you or permadeath makes you start over, you tend to be a little more cautious, right? Like I think back to the first time I played Dark Souls and I'm like, no, gotta go down this hallway. With Dead Cells, it rewards you for movement in such a way that it doesn't really feel like you're at risk of losing all this progress for the sake of feeling so good to get through that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I think Motion Twin did an amazing job, and I'm so psyched for whatever else comes to that game. I'm anxiously waiting for it, but that's a game I still play. Andrew was giving me crap last week because he's like, "Why are you still playing this game?" I'm like,
Hold
"Why?"
on. Andrew Goldfarb, I can't stop playing Pokemon Go.
Okay, I didn't want to get into this, but thank you. It's definitely Dead Cells is probably just such an amazing game.
I like that game a lot.
That came to Xbox through ID at Xbox.
Yeah, and we're probably going to see it on a number of outlets' Game of the Year nominations list this year.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. I cannot possibly let the segment go without mentioning Cuphead. I mean, it's that game for it. I will confess now in hindsight that I was afraid that when it was finally coming out, that it wasn't going to be able to live up to the hype that it had.
It was a long time.
It had earned that hype
for
sure, but it was such a buildup, 3, even maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
And then it finally hit, and it's like, nope, the game's incredible. It's not just a beautiful piece of art; it is an incredible video game as well. So challenging, such unique boss design. We're getting DLC next year, which would be great to go back to the world of Cuphead. So, Studio MDHR deserving of every last shred of the success that they have seen since releasing that game a little over a year ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so great stuff. So there's 4 out of 1,000 titles. We'll cover the next 4 next week.
Yeah, 4 at a time.
I'm Ryan McCaffrey, the host of Unlocked. If you enjoyed that segment, check out the full episode, which new episodes drop every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern at unlocked.ign.com, or you can find them the next day on our YouTube page, youtube.com/IGN Unlocked, as well as any of your favorite podcast services as well.